viewers. Today we welcome you to another session with Asset Debt Recovery. I hope your week has been great. Your week has been splendid so far. Yes, it's weekend. It's another Friday. Friday for relaxing, Friday for chilling, Friday for flexing for some people. Yes. It's another week. It's another moment with Asset Debt Recovery. And yes, like you all know, like you know my name, as usual, my name still remains Oluwatayo Iyanoluwa Olajumoke. Always remember that. So last week we concluded our teachings on bad debt, implication and consequences. And so over the week, we had a few people reaching out to say, okay, can you please tell us what exactly caused this debt to become bad? So today we'll be discussing with you major causes of a bad debt. Yes, major causes of a bad debt. So I would like to ask a question, and I want you, my dear viewers, to sit down and ask yourself these questions. And what are my questions? The first question is, how do you feel when you are in debt? How do you feel? Or let me ask, how did you get into debt? How come did you ended up having so much debt and you don't even know how to get out of it? How? Or let me ask that, what are the major causes? What exactly do you think cause debt to become bad? What do I mean by debt to become bad? What I meant is when your debt is so much that even your current income cannot clear off all the money, like cannot pay the debt, cannot pay the loans, cannot pay what you are owing. You still have to work harder, you still have to earn more. So today I'll be making justice to major causes of bad debt. So let's start by saying that I need to be sincere with you. There's no perfect answer to those questions I asked you earlier. Why did I say that? To some people, they ended up being in debt probably because of their expensive lifestyle. And to some people, it is maybe because they ran into, they lost their jobs, their businesses failed, and likes like that. And even to some people, they just said like, okay, I want to borrow this money for something and planning to pay back before month end. And at the end of the month, some issues happened, like somebody fell sick and they don't have a choice. The money they are used to pay off these debts, they have to divert it to another thing. And it's become promising. And at the end of the day, the debts keep on accumulating. Because one secret about debt is when you borrow this money, when you borrow from, is either from financial institutions or from even individuals. As some individuals, that their basic occupation is to give out loans to people, and they, in return, you have little interest. When you default and you couldn't pay back, there are little charges that come on it. And these little charges, if care is not taken, I can tell you that it is going to end up to a larger sum that you will not be able to pay back. In a nutshell, if you're not careful, you might end up having the exact amount you are owing at the same time equals to the exact interest that has been accumulated to your loan. So, our dear viewers, today we're making justice to the major causes of bad debt. So, what is the first major causes? In a simple way for everybody to understand out there, like I said, to some people, one reason why they ended up in a bad debt is because they lost their job. The way the economic is, if care is not taken, some organizations will be will be closing down, and people will be losing their jobs because the company might not be able to pay. And in that way, for an individual, whereby you have at the back of your mind that, okay, at the end of the month you will get paid, and you've gone ahead to probably borrow money for something and thinking you will get paid at the end of the month, and at the end of the month all you see is a sack letter. Tell me, how do you want to pay back? You ended up in debt because you will need to find money to sustain yourself at that current moment while you are getting both your psychological, your mental, your physical states together, probably in the midst of trying to sort for another job. And even when you get it by chance, maybe you're lucky you have another job, you need to, you still have to work for a month before you get paid. And you have to go to work, you need to eat, you need to do other necessary amenities, pay house bills, and the rest like that. So to some people, they ended up in debt because they had their job taken away from them. Yes, I happened to make some job for a client of ours, and most of these people that I communicated with, when we asked them that why haven't you been able to pay, their response is so simple: I lost my job. In fact, it was even rampant during the time of COVID 2020, where a lot of people couldn't go to work. They were sitting down at home. Some people had to borrow money from all these financial institutes, and at the end of the day, their job, they lost it and they couldn't pay back, and it started accumulating, and it became something that they could no longer manage by themselves. So my advice for you, dear viewers, is please get a skill to encourage yourself with the funds that is coming, so that if at all you ended up losing your job, you are in debt already, maybe you're servicing a loan, it's not necessary it has to be in financial institute where you service loan. There are people that took loan from their offices and they're servicing, and maybe something happened, the company decides to lay off staff, you still have to pay these loans back. So for you not to be caught unaware, please plan. Now, the second point I have is for those people that are into businesses. There are some that they take loans to start business. There are some entrepreneurs that decided to start their business taking loan. And for an entrepreneur who is starting, my advice is think about it before you take a loan to start your business, because this is a business you're just starting for the first time. You don't know how it's going to work. You don't know which level, and you don't even know how long it's going to end up before you start reaping the fruit of your business. So to some people that ended up in debt, probably their business got failed or something happened and they couldn't pay back the loans because they are trying to, struggle their business, or just trying to get their business back on track. And even for those people there are some people that their businesses is going on fine, but they are still not balanced. Reason is because they are in the midst of servicing this loan repayment. At the same time, they are also trying to return funds back into their business so that the business can keep going. So in a nutshell, they would not have a rest of mind. And while they are doing that, they might still have the privilege to be like, okay, I want to acquire more loans to boost my business. And while they are doing that, their loans is getting increased day by day. So entrepreneurs out there, please be mindful of what you do. So another point, I have low income or underemployment. Yes, this is one of the reasons. Why did I say that? There are some people that the amount they earn is not really that much, and maybe they have kids, they are just resuming school, they need to buy a lot of things, they need to do a lot of all the necessary things they are meant to do for their children. And at the long run, they don't have any other choice than to, secure loans from any financial institute. And even the amount they are earning, at the end of the day, maybe the amount they are earning is exactly the amount of money they are owing. They will still have no other choice than to go back and borrow money so that they can keep maintaining. And that, if they are not careful, they ended up having so much debt. Yes, they ended up having so much debt. Another point is there's some people that it is actually the cost of the living. Yes, it is not even some people. This is a general factor. The cost of the living is very high as we speak right now. The way economy is, the inflation in the markets is really high, and the amount most people are earning is almost like equivalent to some people that do stocking at the end of the month. It's always is already equivalent to the amount they earn, and they still have other amenities they need to take. So in a nutshell, they don't have any other choice to be like, okay, if I borrow money from this, or if I decide to take this loan for a long period of time, and I can do all things, and they don't plan for unforeseen circumstances. Because like I used to tell people, take good care of your health, because your health, you don't know when it can actually shut down anything at any time. So unforeseen circumstances can be medical bills. It's not even necessarily you yourself. It can be families, it can be friends, it can be loved ones, extended families. So, and in that way, you really want to be of support. And mind you, you are already servicing one loan or the other, because your own even daily amenities, your own daily bills is on the high side. Maybe you are living in the mainland, you are working on the island, you know how much you spend with your cost of transportation, especially in this rainy season in Lagos, whereby the amount you are spending in the money is not even certain of the amount you'll be spending when you are coming back. So the cost of living is on the high side, and at the end of the month, some people, their salary is already gone, maybe even before the month starts, and they don't have any other choice to keep on borrowing. And at the end of the day, while they proceed to borrow, they won't even be able to have a peace of mind, because while you are borrowing, you have it at the back of your mind that once you get paid, you have to pay back. And if you don't pay back, it keeps accumulating. And in that way, it's ended up becoming bad debt. If one is not careful, it's ended up becoming bad debt, because you would, even your money, your income will no longer be able to clear the outstanding balance you're already having with time. So another point is spending budget. Yes, some people don't have a planning. They don't have a plan. They don't plan a spending budget. What do I mean by that? Some people ended up in bad debts, like in debt, in big one, because they could not structure out a spending plan for themselves. In essence, that okay, the beginning of the month, my total take home is 100,000. Okay, I want to use like 20,000 for transport. I want to use 10,000 to buy feeding or stock. You know how we do the normal calculation. Some people don't. They just be like, okay, month, how do I do it? I spend, I go to work, I eat. At the end of the day, you won't even know how you spend your money. And when your money finish, even before the month is reached to an half, you're already done spending all your money. And in that way, you don't have any other choice. You have to start borrowing from friends, from families, and loved ones. And while you are doing that, some even go to the extent of borrowing from banks at the end of the day, basically for business owners though. But there are some people that, maybe they work in the bank and they use that opportunity to be like, okay, you can remove it from my salary. And when your salary comes in back, the amount you are receiving at the end of the month is no longer enough. It's not even reaching the amount you used to receive, because you're actually servicing loan, or you're servicing outstanding balance, or you're even paying friends or anybody you've actually borrowed money from, and you have to keep on doing it every month. So it becomes a rotation, a continuous thing, and that is actually a bad habit. It's a bad habit. So if any of our viewers out there is listening to me, please learn to draw a spending plan. Yes, have a budget, a monthly budget. It helps. And to those people that are already in debt, it also helps. Get a planning budget for yourself and have the back of the mind that, okay, this is the amount I want to keep aside so that I can clear off my debt as soon as possible. By doing that, it gives you a relieved peace of mind, because you know what you are doing. And before you know it, you won't even know when you finish paying up your loan. And it is not just even about having a planning budget. It's also about sticking to that planning budget. You have to learn how to stick to your planning budget. So another point I have is, yes, to some people, they are expensive life. They go to market, anything they buy. They can even borrow money to party. They can borrow money to drink. They don't care. And not knowing, at the end of the day, their income is not even enough, because they have to service all the loan, they have to pay this, they have to pay that. And before they know it, the whole money they are having is gone with them. And maybe they are not even done paying the loan. They are not even done paying the loan. They will still have to go out again and reapply for another loan while still having an outstanding loan to pay. And doing that, it's accumulating the outstanding loan while they are having a present one they need to pay. So even when their salary comes in, they have to share now into 3 for their own personal use to clear off 2 different loans, at which it's not most of the time possible. It's only if they are earning in millions. But for those people that are not earning in millions and their life is way expensive, please be mindful of how you spend. That is my own personal advice for you, so that, especially with the way this economy is, please, so that you won't end up being in a big debt. Because like I said, part of the consequences we talked about last week, when one is in a bad debt, it can affect your mental health. Yes, it can affect your mental health. And your mental health, if one is not careful, one can get depressed. And even some people ended up committing suicide because they'll be like, they cannot face the shame of being called a debtor, and then they have to do 1 or 2 things, and there's no place they want to run to by taking their life, which I wouldn't advise anybody to do. And lastly, why major causes of a bad debt is lack of emergency funds. Yes, this is one part of the major factors. Most people don't have a backup savings account. And we really need to do that. We really need to have a backup savings account. And what do I mean by that? No matter how much you earn, learn to have a savings account, like a backup, whereby it can cater for any unforeseen circumstances, like maybe family calling you for health assistance, or even in your house, you might just get home one day and then they are telling you, okay, the roof of your house got opened and you need to contribute money to pay. Where do you want to get it if you don't have a savings account? Some people will ended up borrowing, and while they are borrowing, maybe they have loans they are servicing already. While they are borrowing, they are still servicing loan. Their salaries at the end of the month, they have to divide it. And when they are dividing, family will take their own, maybe the first loan will take the second person, and you will still need to keep for any unforeseen circumstances too. And in that case, most times it doesn't even come to the mind of every individual to be like, okay, I want to save, because the money has finished. But my dear viewers out there, I really want to advise you all, please and please, for you to avoid ending up into debt, for you to avoid servicing huge amount of money on you pay you back. Assuming you are collecting now is better, you'll be happy. But you trying to pay, it's not that easy. I can tell you that it's not that easy. But for you to avoid it, have a backup savings, an emergency fund, have it kept somewhere. And that is why I suggested that most people need to learn how to have a spending budget. When you have a spending budget, you can know that, okay, I need to save this, I need to save for that, or I need to, probably maybe do a job. For some people that do it, that, okay, I know that I have some money somewhere that I can take any point in time. So, dear viewers, I believe you've been able to learn 1 or 2 things from today's topic. And yes, we'll continue with the same topic next week. And I really want you to please stay tuned with us. Feel free to ask any questions, any comments. Drop it in the comments box. We'll definitely read them and get back to you. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. We love you, and we hope to always have you with us. Same time next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.